All right, so I got Tito here in live in person on the court. Just hit some tennis balls. I want to talk a little bit about racket specs today. I know there's a lot of confusion sometimes when you're looking at rackets. There's obviously things that make sense like head size and weight, but then there's swing weight and there's RA, which is stiffness, and different range of string patterns and 5 million lines per different models. So like what do these all mean? Like what is stiffness or RA mean? I mean I have a basic understanding. It's how much the racket head flexes, right? So, but what does that really mean?
For RA, I would say the lower, the more arm friendly it is, but there'll be less power usually. The higher it is, more power, but it's definitely more stiff. A lot of head rackets are definitely lower RAs, and they feel better, they're more comfortable. But like they can produce a decent amount of power, but more like say bad ones. They're all higher RAs. You know, they're definitely more stiff. They hurt your elbow sometimes, but they get a lot more power.
So you're getting more vibration from the racket in on a stiffer racket.
Yes.
But isn't that supposed to be more of a control then when it's stiffer?
Some people like it that way. Like some people use like say like polys too, like stiffer polys. They like stiffer polys.
Well, let's not get into strings yet. That's a different discussion. Maybe we'll get into that a little later.
Whoa, slow down, egghead.
But just with the rackets themselves though, like the specs, when you're looking at different, like, okay, I say, for instance, I have an older racket that's like 20 some years old. Let's say a Prince Bandit maybe, and it's a big 108-inch racket you've had for a while, and you're looking at different models and you're like, okay, what do I get? I need to try some stuff, but what do I start? Like,
they have so many choices.
So it's just like, what are you missing? What do you want extra? Do you want more spin? You want more power? You want something more headlight? You want something easy to swing? It just, we have to narrow it down from there.
Yeah, but so, okay, let's break it down. So like stiffness, RA, that's just like more arm friendly.
Yes.
Right, the lower, the more arm friendly, but you lose some power because it's flexing.
Yes.
And absorbing some of the power you would hit on the shots.
So when we say that, it's free power. More free power. Of course, you have to generate your own power with every racket, but it's like the stiffer it is, the more free power.
Right, because it's got to take that energy and put it somewhere. So instead of it just kind of, it's absorbing it, it's taking it into the ball, right? So that's the control. All right, so that's RA and that's stiffness. And then generally rackets today can be as low as 60, as high as 70, depending on what racket it is. Tried out different rackets. Your Furi was like around a 64, 66 ish.
Yeah, feels like a 66.
But it felt like a firm racket, but kind of like a pro staff. But that was a lower RA than the shift. It was the shift that we tried out. Again, there are multi-filaments on that. That's a different discussion. But it was kind of weird that the shift was a higher RA stiffness rating than the Furi. So yeah,
I think it's just the multi just adds a different variable to bring it down.
Yep. Okay, so then that's stiffness. That's one number to look at, because if you're not familiar with that. Then there's swing weight. So what exactly is swing weight then?
Swing weight is like pretty much how fast you can it helps you how fast you swing. So like the higher swing weight is just another of more stability and more power to you. Can help more power, but more stability and how fast you can swing it. The lower is easier to swing, mostly like for beginners or who just like to whip it. But if you don't whip it and you just have like a minor stroke that goes nice, slow, but consistent, then you want a little higher. But then at the same time, the higher it is, you're playing mid through a match, the higher it is, like say you're in the second set, and remember the third set, you could be a little fatigued a little bit.
So is there a relation between swing weight and actual weight? So like,
yes,
maybe a higher swing weight might be closer to a 12-ounce-ish racket, or right, versus a lighter, like a 10 or so. Obviously, these are unstrung numbers. I'm talking about what you put strings and dampeners, and if you feel funky with putting weight on, it's a different story. But
the swing weight just depends on the length of the racket too. Because I had a 10.9 ounce racket, and it was all head heavy, all the weights in the head, and it probably felt like a good 330.
Well, that probably is a good point about balance point, right? So like if the balance is a little head heavy, it's probably going to be a swing weight a little higher, right? Because it's going to more like a hammer, more
But
plow through?
it just helps you plow through. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, just like say, head light just helps you whip it, head heavy just helps you push through, and it's a little easier to use. Most if you need more help. Just friends. It's just like there's example, say your friend or the one that uses the Prince, you know, it's like it's a 108, which is a huge head. You know, it's like you have pretty much a big forgiveness.
But it's a light racket
It's
too.
a light racket, so you can
right?
get pushed around.
Yeah.
So
So
then-
then it's, are you saying like getting something a little heavier,
A little smaller head size.
a little smaller head size might give you a little more control, but yeah, a little more plow through, depending on where you
It's-
went with swing weight and stiffness
and
rating.
what he wants to add to his game,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
emphasize on his game.
So you notice there's a myriad of string patterns and head sizes. So you see them, and I feel like most of them are on 100, 99, 98. Every once in a while you see an outlier, like I saw a Blade 104 out there. Like, what is the differences in string patterns? What is it? Do you get more spin? Do you get, what does that really mean? What different
We're
string
talking head
patterns?
size or we're talking about string patterns?
Well, let's go with both. Let's talk about string patterns first.
Let's start with 95, right? The lowest 90 you can pretty much get is a 95. And I used that 95 for a while. I love a 95, but then it's not forgiving. You have to generate everything yourself. But the one I was using ahead, it was a Pro Stock at the time, felt amazing. I regret selling it. And I'm switching other rackets, and I don't play as good as I used to. So I was like, but it's like, all right, smaller head size, more control, right? And then as you go up to a 97 to an 98, you know, you get a little bit more control, but a little more free power. But we're not like now. The standard is 100.
Yeah, it
You know,
seems like it,
so
yeah.
so now you get a bigger sweet spot, more power, more spin.
Mhm.
So it's just easier to use.
Okay.
And it's just if you want control, you go down a little bit. But if you don't, if you can generate. If you just want, you don't want too much control and you want more power, more spin, go up.
Okay, so it just kind of depends on where you're at with your game and how you're feeling, what you need out of your racket. If you need a little more
You need more
free
help.
power, you want a little more control, you might go up or down on the stiffness, up or down on the swing weight, and then that's just the basic specs of like if you're looking for your next racket, not even going into customizing it
Yeah.
in strings. So at kind of our level-ish, maybe a little higher, what do you think is like a good array of rackets to try to see like which one makes sense? Would you like, obviously we could try the Shift. That's a little bit of a hybrid of a few different rackets, I feel like. What else? You're gonna say the Furi?
No, actually wasn't. I was gonna say the NGLK7 Red. To be honest with you,
Okay.
I actually really like the racket. I think I don't know if I have to retry it again to see it, but it sweeps fast. It's for the only unstable part is on the backhand. Forehand serve, good spin, even good spin on backhand and top spin slices, good spin. It's forgiving. You know, it's a 98. I honestly it is like. That almost I would have made the main racket, but it's just I am so unstable on my backhand, and besides that, like I get so much spin. I get as much spin as a Babylon. You mean so that's the crazy part. It's like it creates a lot
Yeah,
of spin.
Babylon's got a lot of spin, depending on what you
I'd
get,
say
right?
it's like a softer, a little bit less power, a pure arrow, more spin, more comfort than a Head's Extreme Tour. So I think that's like because I tried a lot of rackets and that almost been the one. I'm at a I'm at a Furi now, Furi
Yeah.
Armor Pro.
Which is basically like a pro
It's not-
staff. It's like
yeah.
it's a lighter pro staff, right? Would
No,
you say?
it's actually a little heavier than
It's a heavier than a pro
it's
staff?
It's a little heavier than a Pro Staff.
It's not as stiff though, right?
No, so I think it's a little less, or around the same, maybe a little more. But it's right. The Furi Armor Pro is right between the 97 and the RF. It's a little heavier than the 97,
the Pro
but it's
Staff
not as heavy as
97.
an RF.
Well, the RF's ridiculous.
Yeah, RF's
and we're talking about the Roger Federer Pro Staff, which is like a 12-ounce heavy racket. Would you say?
I know my Furies. I weighed at 11.4.
Yeah.
And
Strong
I,
or strong?
Strong. And I think a
Yeah.
Pro Staff is 11.2.
Yeah, but I think the specs on the Fury site are like 10 something, like high 10. So obviously you're adding strings and then it's
Yeah.
weighed.
For me, it's like when I also give weights, I'll give it from the weight with everything, with overgrip, with the strings, because that's more realistic.
Yeah. Once you add your overgrip, depending on what size you get, once you add a dampener, I mean, you're probably around 11.5. But, it really just depends on the feel, I guess. I mean, so again, I guess from a wide range, if you wanted to see what you liked, if you had an older racket, would you get like a heavier head heavy, a mid-size balance, and then maybe a
Well,
maybe a headlight, and
so
then varying weights and swing weights to kind of see.
I would say, what is his head balance or his balance down? And then we move something.
Headlight.
It's headlight.
I think it's headlight. I think I have
So
to pick
is
it up
it
again. It's such a light. Okay, so this fictitious person with the Prince Bandit. It's been a while since I picked up, but it's such a light racket. I have to almost pick it up again to realize where it, where the balance point is, because it's a light racket. We're talking.
I would say since
under 10 almost maybe.
Rackets, I think I might recommend for him. I would say, honestly, Anshel K7 Red. I would say the head gravity. A lot of people I know who use it love the gravity because they get good power spin, but at the same time it's soft in the hands.
Is that a head heavy or head light racket, or?
It depends which model you get.
Oh, there's different models. Okay.
Yeah, so it's either the MP
gravity.
or the Pro,
Okay.
or the Tour, but it is like a lot of people seem to like it and they do really well with it, or even the S versions.
Okay.
I wouldn't tell him to do a blade because that's heavy and it's pretty demanding. I don't know if he's ready for that yet. And like you don't get nothing that free from it. He could use maybe a pure strike. Maybe.
They have 5. I mean, this is the problem with Wilson's lineup. Just to delve into one brand, there are 5 million variants of the same model. Like there's a Blade 98, which is your standard, and you have a Blade 104. Then you have a Blade Light, right? And then there's like different. You can get like the blade, but you can get a light blade. You can get a bigger head blade. I mean,
or like why not the Diadem Nova? I think that's a pretty light racket, not head heavy.
it's a little heavier. It's more like in the handle though. I feel. Depends on your game, right? So some people love it. I know someone who loves his Clash. But I had the Burn before that, and I've talked about this before. It feels very similar to me, not worth kind.
Maybe let him try your Diadem or your Burn. You might like it.
Maybe.
It's just one step up. You mean?
Yeah.
It should be too dramatic.
Yeah. So if I were to get like 4 rackets, let's just imaginary number. 4 rackets to try, maybe even 3 to try. And just to get a different. I almost think a blade just to rule it out. You know what I mean?
You could try it, but it's
like a blade to rule it out, and then
I would say the head gravity.
Like you're saying, a head gravity, and then
you could try
what
Diadem,
Then,
Nova,
you can try the Diadem, yeah.
or a K7 Red,
or Angel. But is the Angel?
It's hard to get though.
It's a niche racket.
Yeah.
I only say niche because it's a small company and they're not easy to get. I'm trying to think of easy to get like rackets to demo.
But is he sensitive in the elbow?
No.
I'll tell you get a pure strike.
Pure strike.
It's head heavy.
So we're talking about Velvet. We're talking about a head and
Diadem.
Maybe a Diadem. Yeah, I can give one of mine, and then
just give him the blade to see how it is.
Blade.
Because the blade is a standard.
Okay.
It's like you don't get nothing. You don't. The blade is like what you get is what you put. But at the same time, it's like people love the blade too. You mean?
A lot of people love that blade, and apparently it's very popular. It's very popular racket.
It's very consistent. There's nothing that's too much. Very consistent.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe next time we'll talk about strings, because that's a whole different.
That's a whole other world.
It's a whole other world. You can totally change the makeup, like we were saying when we were both testing out the Furi, or you bought them by this point, but we were play testing the Furi and the Shift. It was hard to tell that I was playing with the stiffer racket, the IRA, just based on the strings. So. Anyways, thanks Tito, friend of the show, friend of the channel.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment your thoughts. You can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee. Link below and in description. Thanks for watching.